Okay guys, welcome, Sandal from Substance Over Style, welcome to a new video. Let me just position this camera so it's more central. Yeah, even though that's a bit of a mess. Hi guys, hope you're all doing really well. I'm just drinking some water with ascorbic acid because I have a little bit of a, well, it's a little bit of a cold. Yeah, I might cough occasionally because I just got hit with one like immediately following the grid work that we did on Monday. So those of you who weren't there and missed the announcement or whatever, or if you're a guy, then obviously you're not going to be in my Facebook group. But we did the first live in my Facebook group on Monday. It was amazing. I don't know why I waited so long to launch this. I mean, I do know why. I know why I waited so long to start the Facebook group, but I kind of wish I'd started it sooner because it was so much fun. It was like such a nice girls hangout, and we talked for, I think it went for like 2.5 hours, and then we did the grid work. So it's a really cool chat that we had about the dark feminine, the deep feminine, the primordial feminine, and they're not all the same. So we define the difference between dark mother, the deep feminine, Sophia consciousness versus like Lilith consciousness. I made some distinctions between Ishtar and Nana, who are actually the same, Kali, who's not the same, Lilith, who's definitely not the same, and Sophia, and why, you know, people in like New Age teachings will put them all in the same box, and not do the due diligence of actually studying the history of all these different archetypes, because they're actually not the same. So we talked about that. We talked about lunar consciousness versus solar consciousness, a little bit about the galactic history of the moon, and then we did a really powerful grid work. So what happened during the grid work? The grid work was amazing. So I talked in the field update last week, where, you know, I'd done a couple of sessions with people, and, you know, we went into these caves around the kind of Avalon type area, that were basically guarded by these sirens or nymphs, or like mermaid type beings, who were present before the timeline split of Atlantis and Lemuria, and they were basically guarding these caves, these underwater caves that had crystal core technology, that were imbued with the hierogamic frequency of the divine androgyne, which is like a, you know, it's like an angelic frequency of unification of the masculine and feminine that actually extends all the way to the Godhead, and it transcends gender. And then we had Maman Brigitte come in, who is basically, she's from the Haitian voodoo tradition, but she's also based on Saint Brigitte, or goddess Brigitte, from the Celtic and Catholic traditions. So she basically came through as a crone, even though she can shapeshift between maiden and mother and queen and other archetypes. He's always popping his head in here while I'm doing videos. She basically called upon us to help heal the grids around Haiti. So those of you who don't know, Haiti got super targeted and very heavily punished for standing up against the reptilian beast system and their slavery system during the Haitian Revolution. Maman Brigitte was actually very instrumental in the Haitian Revolution, because there were basically a lot of the intel that was passed from, you know, the slavery systems to the resistance movement was captured in the brothels. So Maman Brigitte is similar, like, I'm not saying she's the same, okay? I'm not saying she's the same, but she's got that similar Ishtar energy where she's like the protector of, you know, the prostitutes, which are a distortion on the ancient priestess temples, which again is a distortion on the original Hieros Gamos codes, the Christ Sophia codes of divine masculine, divine feminine. So she basically was assisting with that work where they were basically collecting intel, and they were basically spies. A lot of these women in the brothels, and probably even in the ancient mystery temples, I don't know, I'd have to tune into it, were also doing spy work, and were basically feeding information back to the resistance, because a lot of these women were mulattoes, or they were essentially like white albino slave women who were generally always fetishized and used for kind of sex magic purposes during the times of this transatlantic slave trade and before it kind of became really, really widespread. So obviously that then goes into, you know, the histories of the root races and, you know, the different, you know, phenotypes that all emerged from the landmass that is kind of East Africa and South India. So she was basically calling on the women to connect with the true deep feminine, the true primordial feminine, to connect with their ancestors, by going through the Most High and the Christ stream. So we talked about how to do shadow work safely. I'm just basically summarizing all of this, because if you're a woman on this channel, please join the Facebook group and watch the replay, because it's important grid work that we did. Now, grid work is basically like a light body activation, not just on your own light body, but it also then connects you to the planetary grids, because the planet also has a light body, okay? The planet is a feminine deity that is a fractal of the Holy Mother, that is a fractal of Sophia, the divine daughter, you know, the feminine Christ, Pasha Mama, Gaia. These are all names for the mother goddess, or the fractal of the mother goddess that is Mother Earth, and we are fractals of her. So we're all connected to Sophia and eventually to the Holy Mother, and then eventually to the Godhead before gender. Okay, gender exists at all planes of causation. But I'm also summarizing some of this because obviously I know that I do have a lot of men on my channel who are also doing the great work, who are not, you know, are not invited to join the group, sorry, because we just need a space where, you know, women can kind of talk about some of these things. And we went so much deeper than we do on this channel. So really, girls, join the group, because it's the place to be right now. We're going to be doing a lot more of these live hangouts and grid works. So just a little thing that you need to bear in mind for grid work if you're not used to it. You can experience some purging, okay? So same with any kind of quantum field work, energy healing. Your light body will drop out all density, but with grid work it can be even more intense, because you're dropping the density of the earth through your body, because you're connected to the earth, right? So the reason why I'm offering this work for free is because it's important planetary work that we can all participate in. But you will also be healed by it. Like, you will receive healing light body upgrades just for yourself, and also for your lineage and for your communities and things like that. So please do come and participate in the Facebook group, girls. But just for the guys, I wanted to stay kind of on this approximate subject, because there's a lot happening right now with the masculines on this planet, with those who hold the masculine pole, or just our masculine energy in general, but particularly men. Men are fucking going through it right now, really going through it, okay? Talk about like a crisis in mental health that we're only now starting to become comfortable with talking about, okay? Because so much of the focus has been on like the wounded feminine and the collective wounded feminine shadow, which we talk about in the live, from which the feminist movement was birthed and then hijacked, you know, which we won't go too much into right now. But now we're having to turn our attention towards the wounded masculine and why that's been happening, and actually start to give men the support that they need. Because if men are going through shit, if they're not given the support that they need, if they're having mental health struggles, that affects all of us, right? Because there are brothers, there are fathers, there are uncles, there are husbands, there are baby daddies. Like, it's important that men are able to bring their A game, and also to not bring their A game as well, to be human and to like be wounded sometimes, and to work through, you know, their own shadows and connect with the deep primordial feminine and the Holy Mother frequency who heals, and also the Holy Father who supports, protects, provides, all of that stuff. So what are we seeing happening with the masculines at the moment? What are we seeing happening with the men? So obviously it depends, because men are individuals, which is why sometimes the polarity teachings that, you know, a lot of people like to talk about and like to spout are very, very useful. But you also have to understand, you know, when people talk about, oh, if a man this, and if the woman this, and she wants this, and he wants this, and some of it is triggering to a lot of people. And yeah, okay, sometimes we can get into, when you're doing your shadow work, you'll swing into these polarizations, okay? So with so much gender confusion and, you know, all the feminist movement saying women are equal to men and we're the same as men and then people get into like the polarity teachings, because we realize that's not true. We're not the same as men. We're different, and that's fine. We still deserve to be treated fairly, even if we're different. We don't have to be as strong as them. We don't have to be able to do anything that they can do. We can be weaker. We can be more sensitive. We can be more emotional. We can even be hysterical sometimes, and we still deserve to be treated fairly. We still deserve to not be raped, to not be violated, to not be subjugated, to not be discriminated against, okay? That doesn't mean that we're going to be treated the same. We are going to be treated differently, but that's also okay. We should be treated differently. I don't want to be treated like a man. I actually don't, like, I think men don't necessarily get treated very well. Like, I don't agree with a lot of the stuff that they say in the feminist movement, that men have it so easy and they have privilege and they get treated so much better. That's not true. Men get treated like men and expected to perform and behave like men, and women get treated like women because we're different, and that's fine. Like, I don't think that that's an issue. Like, we should have different considerations for different genders, and we should also have different considerations for people who don't identify as men or women either. And I think that they should be treated differently because they are different and they've chosen to identify differently. And you know, there's so much political correctness right now that, like, you can't even say that. It's just like that you should just treat a transgender person as exactly the same as a biological man or a biological woman. And I just think that that's also causing issues, and that's causing massive pushback and actual transphobia, because it's just like, oh, well, we want to be treated the same and we want to compete in women's sports because we're women too. And it's just like, well, no, we're now going to push back against that, because you're not going to compete in women's sports. And if you have a history, no, not anybody can self-identify. If you have a history of violence against women and you're in a man's prison because you're a man, you can't just suddenly decide to identify as a woman and go in the women's prisons, because we know you're trying to escape the violence in the men's prisons, because we know men are much more violent because they're different to women. And B, you're probably trying to get access to rape women. So, you know, a lot of this stuff is bubbling to the surface right now, all these inversions, and because we have to basically sort them, and we have to look at what is the truth, okay? So just ask to be shown the truth all the time. Now, again, everybody's a different blend of masculine and feminine. Look at your astrology chart. Okay, I'm not, like, again, like I've said, I'm not a super fan of astrology, because I think sometimes people give it too much power and they use it for, like, prophecy. And I see a lot of astrologers going, this is what's happening right now, and you might be feeling like this, and it's too general, okay? Everybody's natal chart is completely unique, so what you're feeling according to certain transits is completely unique to you. Like, your natal chart is basically like it's like a holographic mirror to what's happening out there, as within, so without. So if you study astrology really deeply, yes, it's a very powerful tool, but too many people oversimplify things, and they're like people, sometimes I would, like, you know, go out for dinner or whatever in London with, if I'm going out in conscious community, I don't notice this as much, but if I'm going out with, like, fashion people, I notice this basic mindset a lot. No offense to fashion people, because some of them can be quite deep, but some of them can also be really very, their spirituality is very, very surface level, very new agey. And they'll be like, what's your sign? And I'll be like, what sign? They're like, your star sign, your astrology. And I'm just like, oh, my sun sign. And they're like, yeah, sure. And I'm like, okay, my sun is Taurus. And they're like, oh yeah, but you don't seem, I thought you were more like a Scorpio. And I'm like, yeah, because I have 3 houses in Scorpio. And they're like, what houses? And I'm just like, you're the one that seems obsessed with astrology, like, and you don't seem to know any. They're like, oh, you sound like an expert in astrology. I'm like, I'm definitely not an expert, but I clearly know more than you do. So like, it's like, why are you opening a conversation? Okay, it's fair that people are like curious, and look, it's fine, we're all on our journey. I'm not trying to shame anyone, but I do find it entertaining, and yes, sometimes I do have to like stifle a chuckle, because I'm just like, okay, you don't know the first thing about astrology, why are you starting this conversation? But fine, okay, go on your learning journey, okay, you learned something today. Yeah, so where was I going with this? Yeah, so your astrological chart, again, I'm not an expert in astrology, I'll admit that, but your astrological chart will show you where your blend of masculine and feminine is. According to, okay, your moon sign will show a little bit to do with your feminine because it's about the hidden, but also your Venus will show you about your feminine energy. And your Mars will show you more about your masculine energy. Also your Saturn a little bit. So according to my astrological chart, like my Venus is actually kind of more of a masculine. I can't remember which one it was. I just looked it up today. I think my Venus is in Aries, and my Mars is in was it Pluto? No, Pluto's a planet. Again, here we go. I'm talking about astrology and I don't know the first thing about it, so guilty. What's my Mars? I'm not saying people can't talk about stuff that they don't know about. They can. Like, I'm sorry if I was mean. I am human, by the way. I'm human and I can be like bitchy and savage sometimes and make fun of people. Is it something I'm working on? Not really. I kind of like it. I like it about myself. Again, I don't know, I've done a lot of shadow work around it, and I did used to be a little bit insecure about it when people are like, you can be such a bitch and like you're intimidating. And I'm just like, why? I'm nice. And I can be really nice. But one of the reasons why I talk so much about Hieros Gamos and harmonizing your polarities is because I'm very polarizing and I have a lot of polarities with, like, it's shown in my chart. So my Venus is in Aries, the ram, so my feminine is a little bit masculine, I would say, and then my Mars is in Gemini, so a little bit scattered, not that focused, likes to do different things, likes to move around a lot, like it's probably why I travel so much. So, you know, basically my point is everybody's a unique blend of masculine and feminine that is unique to them, and yes, you can obviously expand in different areas because that's what the natal chart shows you. It shows you what your tendencies are, and then it also tells you things that you can work on because we're ascending, right? So as you ascend, you expand, and you eventually throughout your soul's journey you'll become one with cosmic consciousness, so you'll become everything. So like, I'm not like, when you look at your natal chart, don't stay stuck in that. This is the other problem I have with the people, astrology lovers. They're like, oh, you're this, so that means you're this, and you tend to basically then, it's like things become hardwired, certain traits become hardwired because you have the assumption that you're like that. That's why I don't like to look at my chart too much. But sometimes, you know, like if I want to get some insight on a certain thing, like I'll look at it, like I won't look at it even once a year. Like I'll look at it maybe like every 2 to 3 years. I'll maybe look at, you know, my astrological chart, or I'll look at my numerological chart. I tend to prefer my numerological chart. I find it just a little bit more accurate. But they, you know, I would say they both have accuracies, but I like the numerological one because it tells you not just how you are, but also what you need to work on to expand so that you can become more. So, you know, I'm not saying that don't do polarity work, because, you know, your natal chart says that you're naturally masculine in this aspect and naturally feminine in that aspect, so you should just stay that way, even if it's causing you issues. Like, you know, too many people, they look at their compatibility chart, you know, them and their partner, and they'll be like, are we compatible, yes or no? It's not a binary, okay? The chart is only, the compatibility chart is only there to show you, to help you. Like, you should always tune into you to decide if you want to be with someone. Don't let the charts, like, trust me, okay? For years and years and years, I let the compatibility charts dictate to me whether I should be with someone, because I couldn't trust my own body and my own mind. If you want to be with somebody because you care about them, you love them, maybe you're addicted to them still, you're learning certain soul lessons by still continuing the connection, then just continue with that. If they're hurting you or the relationships become toxic and you want to leave, then leave. Like, the chart is only there to help you see what maybe you guys can work on, or what you can do to make your relationship stronger. So yeah, so with the masculines, I feel like a lot of them are being called into their mission, their divine mission. Like, a lot of the masculines, and when I say, I'm using the word masculines because I'm talking about our own masculine energy as well, because I'm also finding that my masculine energy is being called in this way as well, but definitely with my man in a big way, like to the point where it's taking all his focus. They're really wanting to get, and same with my male clients, they're really getting clear on what they're here to do. And it doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, I'm going to start this business that's going to change the world and heal the world, okay? They're cleaning up their own houses, okay? A lot of these fallen masculine programs around status and, you know, ego driven, and like wanting to have as many women as possible, wanting to have the baddest bitch and all of that stuff, are being purged, definitely from the ones at the forefront of, you know, the collective, the true light worker starseeds who are, you know, at the forefront of this work have definitely purged those programs. In the collective, we might see a little bit of those programs for people that are, you know, coming out of like a disempowered state, you know, which you'll see a little bit in like red pill communities, like guys who were maybe previously incels, they'll still be on that thing of wanting power and status and wanting like a good woman. But you got to understand where that comes from. That comes from like being disempowered. Same with the shadow feminine, when women are getting into all this either feminism, as they move from feminism to then polarity teachings and all the goddess empowerment stuff and lunar feminine, lunar consciousness, moon Saturn matrix, I'm a goddess, worship me, divine feminine, it's not actually solar feminine, which is true divine feminine. We talked about this in the live, okay? It's fine to connect with the deep primordial feminine, but you've got to do it while keeping your connection to the Godhead, and the Holy Father principle, the Christ masculine principle, okay? Because you're bringing awareness, you're bringing that conscious light of awareness to the wounds and the shadows and all of that stuff. It's a Hieros Gamos process. So a lot of the men who are at the forefront are like, you know, definitely cleaning up house. They're basically stepping into their masculine leadership, okay? They're really wanting to like lead themselves, to lead women, not in a toxic, dominating kind of way, but be in a heart-centered way, because they're connecting to their emotions, they're connecting to their emotional bodies, they're healing their traumas, and you know, and their mother wounds, okay? They're connecting to the heart of the mother, okay? Because a lot of one of the things that we talked about in the live is, you know, why certain women attract simps, and why that's all they'll ever do. Because if they get too much into some of these dark feminine teachings and like empowerment and how to magnetize any man, how to make him obsessed with you, all of that stuff, that's lunar feminine stuff, okay? And it works, it's powerful. You can get a lot of men, you can magnetize a lot of male energy to you, you can get a lot of abundance, you can, you know, it's that whole sugar baby archetype. You can get a lot of men to give you a lot of stuff, okay? and do a lot of things for you, provide for you, and you know, show up in ways for you. As you start to move through the levels, you'll start to realize, okay, it'll be firstly like a simp energy. Then as you start to alchemize more with your Christ Sophia energies, then, you know, it'll be more like a white knight type of energy, which is again still a fallen program, okay? True Christ masculine and your true divine union is when you don't even care about magnetizing every man to you, okay? You really don't care, okay? I attract a lot of male energy, okay, just because I'm still going through this transition from modeling to this healing work that I'm now doing. Could not be more unbothered. If anything, I actually want to repel some of it away, because it's not in alignment with where I'm at now, okay? It's not serving my highest mission and purpose to be magnetizing all this simp energy. It's just, it's fine, it's flattering, it's nice to know that I still got it, but like, you know, the only male energy that I want to be, you know, attracting and magnetizing and coming into a sacred union with is my own man who I'm in a relationship with. And you'll get to a point where that's the only person that you're interested in, and you won't be pulled in different directions, okay? But there's a process of sexual purification that, you know, you may need to go through on the path before you get there. Again, not saying it's a final destination by any means, but I feel like, for me, like my nervous system feels like so much calmer now that I'm in this place, because it's like my masculine and feminine are like fully unified, and it feels like my masculine has this like containment and this structure and this architecture to basically channel my feminine creativity and the vision, the oracular gifts, okay? It's the Hiroscamos, okay? I'm not saying that I'm enlightened, I'm definitely not. Y'all know I still have wounds and shadows that need to be integrated, okay? Loads of them. So it's a lengthy process, okay? And when I get even further, I'll report from there. But right now, I would say where I'm at right now is very calm nervous system. Like, okay, I don't want to say that I don't get triggered, okay, because I still do get triggered, okay? There are still places in my light body that will get activated, especially with what's happening right now with, oh my god, like all the intense solar weather that we're having. I was reporting on it way more before, like last year, because it wasn't as frequent, but now it's like everyday intense energies, like coronal mass ejections, KP9, like solar storms, like the energies right now are super intense, okay? Again, I'm not like a super mega expert on how all of that works, but I do know that it's basically increasing the Schumann resonance of the planet, which is the planet's vibrational frequency. It's like its heartbeat. And what that does is it increases our frequency to be higher up the emotional vibrational scale. So instead of all vibrating at fear like we were many years ago, like 10 years ago when the planet was like shrouded in darkness and a lot of inversions, a lot of things are being brought to the light. It's like a revelation. Okay, so it's revelation energies, okay? That's why a lot of people are quoting Book of Revelations at the moment. A lot of things are coming from the darkness into the light. This is why doing the shadow work right now, and doing the shadow work particularly around the feminine, is so important. I mean, the shadow is the feminine. I think of the shadow as feminine anyway. Not saying that masculines don't also have shadows, okay? There's definitely, you know, a lot of, particularly the men that have more of a feminine polarity, that are a bit more in the you know, a bit more heart-centered, a bit more feminine. They're maybe not super alpha, they maybe don't have much luck with women because they're not that bad boy, you know, archetype. They always try and be heart-centered and do the good thing. A lot of them have got shadows around their masculine energy, around that you know, just that benevolent king energy, the warrior. Like, definitely the warrior is like a huge shadow masculine archetype for a lot of men. So if you identify with this as a man, start connecting with that warrior energy, start connecting with that emerald Melchizedek, King Arthur, Knights of the Round Table, that they're so Christed, but it's that, you know, those men are able to be savage. They're able to kill without thought, because what they're doing is they're protecting the land, they're protecting the sacred, okay? They're basically protecting what's right and moral, okay? It's not about killing senselessly, okay? It's not about, Mark Passio talks about this, okay? And a lot of people are going to have an issue with me saying this, and I know that, but I've never shied away from just speaking the truth, okay? According to natural law, universal law, there are times where killing people, killing others is necessary and perfectly in alignment with karmic laws and universal laws, okay? Those are if you're being attacked, if you're being invaded, if your family is about to be attacked, violated, raped, if the land is, you know, that you and your ancestral brethren belong to and are fractals of is being invaded, is being colonized, okay? These are all permissible under universal law, under natural law, and a lot of men have massively suppressed this this energy and this archetype, and that's why we've had so many issues, like with, you know, what just happened during the pandemic. It was a lot of this fucking beta male energy. I will tell you, if you are a man that identifies more with that feminine polarity, that whole nice guy thing, like, just with, you know, with all due respect, it's very repulsive to women, okay? A lot of women will not tell you this to your face, okay? But if they see that beta male energy where she can't trust that you would defend her, would defend your offspring if you had any, would defend the land, would defend what's righteous, what's moral, what's sacred, like the truth, for example, she's going to become sexually repulsed by you, okay? I'm being very real with y'all, okay? You might think that you're very soft and heart-centered and you're a nice guy and you deserve to be loved by the mother, you know, which a lot of guys are healing these mother wounds, and that's why they're attracted to this dark feminine energy. And this shadow feminine or lunar feminine, okay? Her in particular will find you sexually repulsive, okay? A lot of the time, women who hold this frequency will be attracted to that kind of energy because she wants to control you, okay? And you can try and blame her as much as you want, but you've got to start taking responsibility, and you've got to start integrating your shadows around your masculine energy, okay? I say this with love, okay? You've got to start connecting to that spiritual alpha. I talked about this in the Incel Revolution. I posted the chart from Mark Passio talking about the socially conditioned alpha, which is a toxic, imbalanced, left brain dominant, toxic masculine alpha. Obviously you don't want to be that. You don't want to be like those guys, okay? But you don't want to go too much into the feminine polarity as well. You want to harmonize those energies, okay, and bring them into the central column. That's why we talk about spine, having a spine. Why do we talk about that? Because you're centrally aligned, okay? Your Ida and your Pingala have come into sacred union, and the Kundalini's flown up and connected you directly to the Godhead. Your crown is open. You've literally reclaimed your crown and you become a king, okay? I teach this in my course, Reclaim Your Crown, okay? That is a course for men and women, and I've had amazing results and amazing testimonials posted from both the men and the women who've taken that course. So yeah, so consider joining that. What else? I think that's it, really. Like, I don't want to go on for ages and ages. There's probably more that I could say, but I probably want to keep it there. And like, I don't want to rabbit on for ages, because I'm also feeling my energy levels aren't amazing today, because I'm still trying to heal from whatever I got hit with after this grid work. So yes, if you're a lady, if you're a woman, please consider joining the Facebook group and participating in the grid work. It's obviously not live anymore, it's just the replay. You know, bear in mind that you might experience some purging, okay? So do it when you're feeling clear, clean, activated, and you're not going through too much. Or if you are, maybe if you are going through something, it might actually help you, but you got to tune into your own intuition around it. And do it when, you know, you feel like it's aligned. But basically with grid work and with light body activations, you'll go through you don't always have purging, okay? There's plenty of times I do activations and I don't have any purging at all whatsoever. But usually if I do have purging, I welcome it, because I know that my subtle bodies are kicking out old traumas, old belief systems, as new ones are being upgraded, and I'm going to experience a level up and a whole new shift in energy and realign with a higher timeline. So yeah, highly consider joining that. And if you want to book a session with me, so DM me on Instagram. I am having a website come soon, which you can book with the Calendly link, but that's not ready yet. So I'm still taking my sessions by DM, men and women. It's all good. If you want to join my course, the link is in the description box below as well. I love you and leave you, fam. Peace out. See you in the next video. One love. Bye.